I had the opportunity to be in the right place at the right time and be prepared and have the guts to take the risk to be our City of Phoenix's, first primetime anchorwoman. In my case, the federal government made it easier because the FCC came down and said that television stations would allow minorities and women to go on the air. And so timing, as you know, is so important in life. And I came along in the early 70s when women were allowed to actually sit on the news set and anchor the news.
This is Cool News 10 with Bill Close, Mary Jo West, Joe Doherty, and Bill Denny.
When I came to Channel 10, it was called Cool TV. I wanted to show that I was more than an arm decoration, and that I remembered the Phoenix Gazette at the time. The headline said, "Anchorette debuts." And I wanted to be more than an anchorette. I wanted to show that women could cover those issues that were vital, not just the grocery store stories, which are important, or the sewing stories, but also the vital issues.
In fact, a worker told me that in the past 5 years, there has been a 100% increase in the number of teenagers joining the organization.
I wanted to do stories with substance and to show that women don't detract from the news, but can add perhaps even something special that men could not.
We'll cover those stories and more across the state during this next hour.
Right now, Dennis Johnson is at the Salt River Project Flood Control Headquarters. Dennis, what's going on?
My boss and co-anchor was a man named Bill Close, who is quite a legend, and he had certain rules about what women could and could not do. And we could not, for goodness sake, wear slacks. You could not wear pants. And you couldn't go out of town to do a story because obviously, you know, you might get romantic with the camera person. At that time, it was just men. And it was hard sticking around at first because my anchorman, co-anchor and boss, he was quite unhappy to have someone sitting next to him. Now that I'm more seasoned, I understand that. It probably a little threatened, it didn't want to share the spotlight, and it was very, 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 very difficult. You know, in life, it's important when there is something negative going on to try to dwell on the positive with that person. So I decided I'm going to learn from this man because he knew Arizona like the back of his hand. It also was a time for women when appearance was so amazingly important, not the men's appearance, but our appearance. I always called it the cosmetic burden, and it hasn't changed one bit. In fact, now it's bled over to the men as well. Men are getting those facelifts too that the women are doing on the news now.
A memorial to the 1,100 men killed when the USS Arizona was sunk at Pearl Harbor 35 years ago was unveiled.
People weren't used to hearing a female voice. In fact, the voice that you hear right now, my speaking voice, is not what my voice really is. I had to train myself to lower my voice. Some of the mean comments that would come in is, we're used to hearing Walter Cronkite's voice or Bill Close's voice, and we don't like to hear this woman's voice. And so consciously, I had to lower my voice to make sure that I fit in at the time. I'll never forget the hate mail that I received, though, when I started as our city's first primetime anchorwoman. Horrible, horrible letters, a lot of them from women. The most famous one said, "Tell that blonde-headed tomato to go straight home and cook supper for her husband, signed a lady from Sun City." And if she knew that I couldn't cook, I really would have been in trouble. But the most touching was when I received a beautiful letter from a young mother who said her 3-year-old little girl ran up to the screen, touched my face, and said, "Look, Mommy, women can be newsers too." Nowadays, to young people, it doesn't make a difference, and so maybe we did make a difference, those of us who came along in the 70s as females.